Hello, and welcome to Popcorn News, something to watch while you eat popcorn. Do not try to comprehend it all. Nay, just eat the popcorn. In Danville, Illinois, a cargo cult has surfaced, centering upon Dick Van Dyke. A cargo cult is something that happened beginning back in Melanesia, where the natives would see planes in the sky and the planes would be dropping cargo, and they began to worship the planes that were dropping the cargo, and it was a cargo cult. But a cargo cult in Danville, Illinois now has surfaced, centering upon spottings of what is supposed to be Dick Van Dyke in Danville, Illinois. And in yesterday's local paper, they had a purported photo. This is supposed to be Dick Van Dyke, seen in Danville, Illinois. And much hope is being given to these Dick Van Dyke sightings. But is it really Dick Van Dyke? There's also Elvis sightings, where supposedly Elvis Presley is seen, but it's done by Elvis impersonators. So the question is, this supposed Dick Van Dyke sightings in Danville, was it really Dick Van Dyke, or was it an impersonator of Dick Van Dyke? And this is all tied in with the distress in Illinois about the budget. There was no budget passed during the past fiscal year, and now we are entering a new fiscal year with still no budget. But Illinois has hastily passed a stopgap budget, which will last until after the November elections. Then, around Christmas time, when people are distracted, they will hurry through whatever they have planned, probably meaning large tax increases. So that's just for starters. And now we go to the situation of the Loretta Lynch meeting with Bill Clinton on the tarmac in Phoenix. And what do we make of it? I didn't know what to think, but someone called Sane Progressive makes YouTube videos, and she came up with a possible explanation of what's going on. She says there is outside pressure to force the Justice Department to go ahead with indictments of Hillary Clinton.
However, this is different, and what this could be in response to is the fact that the United States government is no longer in control of this. They lost control, and this is what it said. Sources are reporting that the Russian government is prepared to release private emails that it obtained from Hillary Clinton's email server, proving Clinton allowed classified information to end up in the hands of foreign adversaries. Intelligence sources are bracing for the Russian release of Clinton's intercepted emails, according to a report in the trade publication oilprice.com. Goes on to say these sources echo similar reports that Russia's Foreign Intelligence Services has numerous Clinton emails, which it obtained by monitoring the hacker Guccifer, who broke into Clinton's advisor Sidney Blumenthal's email account. Now, also, 2 days before this, Wikileaks, Julian Assange revealed on June 13th that they will publish enough evidence to indict Hillary Clinton.
And it's because Hillary Clinton was the Secretary of State under Barack Obama. And if the Obama Justice Department indicts Hillary Clinton, that makes Obama look bad. So no matter what the FBI does, they can come up with all kinds of things, but unless the Justice Department chooses to proceed with indictments, nothing really comes of it. But the sane progressive theory is that there's outside pressure being applied from places like Russia and WikiLeaks, who say they have copies of Hillary Clinton's emails and are threatening to publish them. And this forces the Obama Justice Department to act. That's the theory. So we have that, and we have also this thing about the vote fraud in the Democrat Party primary elections, and it's not being covered by the left or the right. And you'd think that honest elections would matter, but my take is that the so-called right would rather have Hillary Clinton as the nominee because they think that she's the weaker of the candidates. She doesn't have really support from the base. Bernie Sanders, though, has support from the base, whether you agree with him or not. So my take on it is that the so-called right is keeping quiet about the vote fraud because they'd rather have a weak opponent, Hillary Clinton, than a strong opponent, Bernie Sanders. But there's been a lot of news about this vote fraud, notably redacted tonight. A show broadcast on the Russia Today channel has been covering it extensively, along with Sane Progressive. She too has been covering it. And there's, to boil it all down, there's the thing on the tarmac where Loretta Lynch meets with Bill Clinton. And this is explained very well by someone called Lionel on one of the recent Russia Today broadcasts.
Lionel of Lionel Media. Lionel, good to see you again, my friend. So is there any reason for us to believe that this meeting was just anything more than two people bumping into each other at a busy airport? I mean, I get that it's a case of bad optics, but it's a big airport.
And big optics. The answer is no. You know, MC, in our business, in legal, in that which is juridical, we have this absolute maxim. And it stands for the proposition that officers of the court, judges, especially those holding higher office, should avoid at all costs the mere appearance of impropriety. Just Google that. Case after case. It is chiseled in stone. There's nothing illegal with what Loretta Lynch did. But she should have said, excuse me, I am not going to, as you say, bad optics, going to join him on his private plane or vice versa, when I, the Attorney General in charge of the Department of Justice, am investigating his wife, who happens to be the presumptive Democratic nominee, and Bill Clinton, who appointed me initially, may himself be a witness, a co-conspirator, maybe also a co-defendant in charges that we, the mere public, know nothing about. she should have said, I cannot possibly do anything to give the appearance of impropriety. Now,
and there's also the New York Times writer, Cohn is his last name, called it all, oh, this vote fraud stuff, it's all a conspiracy theory. But this idea was countered by Lee Camp on Redacted Tonight around June 30th of 2016.
Welcome back. So as many of you know, I talk a lot about election fraud, the election fraud we've just seen. And there was a column a couple of days ago in the New York Times that said, no, the election was not stolen from Bernie Sanders. It's just crazy conspiracy theorists being all crazy. You know how they do. Nate Kahn fails to mention the drastic poll location cuts in Arizona and Puerto Rico. The idea that the primary was rigged in multiple ways is inconvenient for Nate. Nate Kahn fails to mention the Harvard study that ranks America the worst in the Western world for fair elections. Nate Kahn fails to mention the 120,000 knocked off the rolls in Brooklyn alone. That's one borough. In one borough. Again, any sign of election fraud is not good for Nate's point. And as I've said before, the purging of the voter rolls that happened in New York was no accident. Nate Kahn fails to mention the Chicago voting machine audit that showed the machines were wrong in favor of Clinton. When the audit witnesses brought this to the Chicago Board of Elections, their response was, here's how many f***s we give. So that either means they know the machines are rigged for Hillary and they want them that way, or they didn't know they were rigged for Hillary and they just don't care at all. Either one is not a good thing. Nate Kahn fails to mention poll workers in California were instructed to give out provisional ballots like they were fake in Hollywood. Just here, you and you and you. Basically, these are placebo ballots. They're designed to make you think you voted and go home. Get the hell out of our way.
So that, to make a long story short, that's about what I can figure out. You got vote fraud, you got the emails, you got a Justice Department which won't do its job, but it's being pressured from Russia and Wikileaks. And there's also the freedom celebrations, which today's local newspaper has celebrating freedom. If you can see it there, 4th of July, celebrating freedom. And you've got vote fraud, you've got corrupt Democrat Party primaries, you've got a Justice Department which is more true to the Democrat Party than the American people. But never mind, let's have a freedom celebration.